Who would have thought the hardest part was the intro? I don't really know what to say at the beginning of these, but I'm probably going to give you my thoughts on the story at the end of this. So if you guys stay that long, there'll be that to look forward to. But hopefully you guys like this video. Love you. I won't use our real names. I've held one of the highest offices in my country for over a decade, and what I'm about to tell you would end what's left of my reputation, if it didn't put me in a cell first. Call me Jamie. Call him Justin. Those aren't our real names, but everything else is exactly what happened. Justin got sick 2 years ago, a very rare, aggressive type of vasculitis. It ate his body one organ at a time faster than any donor list could keep up with. A man from my old network, the kind of man who solves problems other people can't even admit exist, told me there was another way. A clone, grown from Justin's own cells, kept alive specifically as a source, so that whenever his organs failed again, there'd be no waiting. I said yes the same day. They took photographs, blood, hair, and 6 months later, a team arrived at my house and moved into the reinforced floor beneath my own bedroom, the one built for storms. And I didn't ask a single question about what happened down there. I just waited. The first 15 days were flawless. Justin came back to me stronger than I'd seen him in years. Color in his face, appetite back. I told myself the worst was behind us. But I noticed something, even in those good days. Something in his face that wasn't quite right. Not wrong enough to point to, just a fraction off. Like looking at him through glass that had been replaced with slightly different glass. I told myself it was swelling, recovery, I needed it to be nothing, so it was nothing. Then on the 16th night, I woke to knocking. It came from beneath us, from the floor where they'd kept the clone in storage. 2 knocks, a pause. Muffled voices under that, too low to make out the words. Justin was asleep beside me, breathing slow and even, so I told myself I was dreaming. Lay still. Listened for almost 20 minutes until I couldn't stand not knowing anymore. I went down alone. The room was exactly as they left it, the tank in the center, filled with that pale, faintly amber liquid. Except the cords weren't attached anymore to the clone, no tubes at the throat, no line at the arm, just a body flowing there tethered to nothing, kept from drowning by a single breathing mask still fixed over its mouth and nose. I stood there longer than I should have, staring at the face that was Justin's and wasn't at the same time. Then the eyes twitched. I swear they did. Not open, just twitched. The way eyes moved under closed lids when someone is trying hard to force them open from the inside. I turned to run so fast I walked straight into someone standing behind me. Justin. He had followed me down the stairs. I don't know how long he'd been standing there, watching, but the second I looked at his face, I understood it had been a while. His eyes were locked on the tank, wide, unblinking, fixed on the floating body like he'd just seen a ghost. I asked him what he was doing there. He didn't answer me, not in English at least. He started speaking low and fast in a language I had never once heard him use in 26 years of marriage. One he'd never studied, never mentioned, one I couldn't place a single syllable of. He didn't move while he said it, didn't blink, stood there rigid, staring past me at the tank, like a man having a conversation with someone only he could see. I had to physically walk him back up the stairs. He didn't sleep that night. He lay flat on his back, eyes open, staring straight at the ceiling for hours. At some point, I don't know when exactly, I must have drifted for a moment. I opened my eyes to find him sitting up on the edge of the bed, a journal in his lap, writing without ever once looking down at the page. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I watched my husband fill page after page blind, in handwriting that didn't look like his handwriting, until he finally set the journal down and laid back beside me like nothing had happened at all. I took a photograph of one of those pages the second I was sure he was asleep. The AI translation app took a long time to even identify the language. When it finally did, it gave me a name I'd never heard before, tied to a small island community somewhere in the Pacific, spoken by so few people that the app itself flagged the result as low confidence. 3 words over and over, filling the entire page. Help me, help me, help me. I sat up the rest of the night watching him sleep, trying to understand a man who'd never left our country, who spoke English and a little French and nothing else, had just filled a notebook in a language spoken by a few thousand people on the other side of the world. Exhaustion won somewhere near dawn. I don't remember falling asleep. I only remember waking at 9 to the smell of coffee and finding him in the kitchen, humming, normally, tunelessly, the way he always hummed while he cooked, like the entire night had never happened. I asked him what he remembered. Nothing, he said. He'd slept fine. I asked him carefully what languages he spoke.
English, a little French, that was all.
He said, and laughed a little, confused why I was asking. I wrote the 2 words on a piece of paper, the same 2 words from the journal, and set it in front of him without explanation.
Help me,
he said instantly. Before he'd even finished reading it, the way you'd read a word in your own language without thinking. Then he stopped, looked at what he just said, then looked at me again. How do you know that language? I said. His face changed, something flickered behind his eyes somewhere between recognition and panic, and then it was gone, replaced by a confused smile.
I don't,
he said.
I've never learned that language in my life. Maybe I saw it in a movie or something.
I let it go. I didn't have anywhere else to put it. We had a normal day, a completely, perfectly normal day, which somehow frightened me more than anything strange would have. That night, the knocking woke me again, not from below this time, from the kitchen. Justin's side of the bed was empty. I found him standing at the kitchen window, facing the glass, eyes wide open and completely blank, knuckles tapping against the window in a rhythmic too specific to be random. 2 knocks, a pause, 3 more. The exact same pattern I'd heard from the floor beneath us. I said his name, nothing. He kept knocking, and underneath it, so quiet I almost missed it, he was humming. No, whispering. Words in that same language, over and over like a prayer he memorized without knowing what it meant. I turned the kitchen lights on. I got close. I said his name again, louder, and reached out and grabbed his shoulder to turn him towards me. His hand closed around my throat before I even saw it move. He slammed me back into the wall, screaming out full volume in that language. His face inches from mine, eyes not blank anymore but wide, furious and terrified all at once, like he was fighting something even as he did it. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't make a sound. And then, as suddenly as it started, his hands went slack, and he stumbled backwards, started sobbing, begging me to forgive him, saying he didn't know what had happened. He didn't remember anything. He would never hurt me, he swore it. We went back to bed. He fell asleep within minutes, exhausted. I didn't. I lay there until I was sure he was fully under, and then I got up and went down to that reinforced floor alone, because I had to know. I had to see it for myself. To my surprise, the room was destroyed. Liquid pooled across the entire floor, the cords and the mast both torn loose and left tangled on the tile, and the tank itself was empty. The clone wasn't in it. I followed a trail of wet footprints across the floor, and they ended at the window, broken outward, glass scattered on the outside grass, like something had climbed through it and left. That's when I heard the screaming from upstairs. I ran, and it hit me halfway up the staircase. The main door leading to my house was wide open. That clone didn't break the window to run away from the house, but instead, it was to come back in. I got to the bedroom to find him standing over Justin, dripping that same pale liquid onto our sheets, both hands wrapped around my husband's throat. Justin's legs were kicking weaker and weaker against the mattress, his hands barely closing around the wrists, pinning him down. I didn't hesitate. I want to be honest with you about that because it matters for everything that comes after. I didn't weigh anything, didn't think twice, didn't leave room for a single doubt. I saw a monster killing my husband, and I moved to save him with the total, uncomplicated certainty of a woman doing the only right thing left to do. The knife was in my hand before I decided to reach for it. It went into his back, once, and he made a sound I still hear some nights, and he collapsed sideways off the bed and didn't move again. I have never in my life been so sure I was right about anything. Justin came up gasping, coughing, staring at the body on our bedroom floor with an expression I will never be able to describe to you properly. And then, still catching his breath, still shaking, he started speaking in that language. the one he swore that morning over coffee he had never heard in his life before. I called for help. Because of who I am, everything that followed happened quietly, off the record, handled by people who know how to make things disappear from the public record entirely. The DNA results came back 3 days later. The man I killed, the one I had believed completely, was the clone, the spare, the thing built to keep my husband alive, was actually my husband. The man standing beside me in that room, the one I had been living with for weeks, someone else. His genetic profile matched no one in our country's records. It matched an old, missing persons file instead, filed decades ago for a child who had simply vanished. There was no cloning. There never had been. Only my real husband, kept sedated in a tank on my own property while a doctor told me, calmly, that he was nothing more than a backup. And somewhere underneath the face I'd been waking up to for weeks, a person who'd been missing from his own life for longer than I've been alive. The language is never a mystery Justin picked up. It was the only thing left that was still somehow his. I don't sleep on that floor anymore. Some nights I still hear it, faint, coming from a room I know for a fact is completely empty now. 2 knocks, a pause, 3 more. I don't know anymore if it was a warning or simply a voice asking for help in the only way it knew how. All right, so I thought the story was cool. It, these kinds of stories always make you think of like expansion on the ideas. I mean, I would have loved to have seen a struggle more with the clone, kind of taken out pretty easily, but then again, it was the hubby, which kind of sucks, man. Like, does she live with this person that she believes was her husband the whole time? I mean, it's kind of a shitty situation, honestly. But yeah, that doctor, for real, his license needs to be revoked or something. But I don't know, if a sequel's ever introduced, I would expect it to be her overcoming, I guess, living with her not husband, and then probably taking out that doctor. Fuck that guy. All right, well, let me know what you guys thought of the story and everything. But yeah, that's it for this one, guys. Love you.